Marketing is probably the most important thing in your business. But let's be honest, it's a bit like going to the gym. We all know it's good for us, but it's easy to get overwhelmed and not know where to start. In this video, I'll share my years of experience working with different brands and businesses and tell you exactly how to begin your marketing journey from scratch in 2025. I'll try to make it fun, give you crazy industry stats, and a few stories that might make you question everything. So let's begin now. The first step is defining your target audience. It's like online dating. You need to know who you're looking for before you start swiping right. Do you know that only 5% of people who start an online course actually finish it? Well, that's kind of like your potential customers. Most will leave before the first chapter unless you truly understand their needs. Ask yourself, who is your potential client? What are the biggest pain points? We at 3D Media identified that our ideal clients were busy real estate professionals who needed eye-catching marketing assets. We saw a 30% increase in engagement when we targeted our customers correctly. It's all about speaking their language and maybe even using a bit of humor. Analyzing the market is like trying to find your place at a new school. Who are the cool kids? Who's wearing socks with sandals? Brands like Netflix excel because they constantly study their competitors and the latest trends, ensuring that they always stay ahead. And here's a crazy stat. On average, people see between 6 to 10,000 ads per day. That's more ads than there are stars that you can see in the sky. No wonder we're all dreaming about buying a mattress by the end of the day. At 3D Media, we keep a close eye on what our competitors are doing, and sometimes we even borrow a page from their playbook. Because why reinvent the wheel when you can just make it better? In fact, look at what Apple did. Most of the products that they came out with, they didn't invent from scratch, they made them better. Think of the tablets. They didn't come up with a brand new thing called a tablet. Tablets existed before an iPad. They simply found a way to make it better. Same thing across all of their products. You always want to look for a solution and see how you can contribute to making it better. At 3D Media, we did exactly the same. We looked at the industry, we saw what people are doing, the videos, the photos, the 3D, and we found how to improve almost every type of service, deliver it all in a beautiful package and at a more affordable cost. Be a problem solver. Also, I can't stress it enough how important strategy is. Think of your marketing strategy as your GPS for your business. Without it, you'll end up like my grandma who thinks MapQuest is cutting-edge technology. Ask yourself, what goals do you want to achieve with your marketing? Do you want to increase your brand awareness, generate more leads? According to HubSpot, 70% of marketers say that SEO is more effective than PPC, yet many still have no idea what SEO stands for. It's not about using every marketing method out there, it's about picking the ones that align with your goals and budget. At 3D Media, for example, we created a balanced marketing strategy that prioritized high-impact channels, which resulted in 25% reduction in ad spend and 40% increase in qualified leads. We always try to figure out where should you focus your marketing budget first. For example, for most service-based companies, we will tell them shy away from SEO, even though a lot of marketers will try to convince you to put your money there because you will not see results for months while you have to get customers now and feed your family, feed your employees. So we push them to a platform that's going to be very successful for them with PPC. One of them is, for example, Yelp. There is a reason why we became one of the top Yelp partners in the nation. In fact, we even won an award for being best in core values because we're not thinking about ourselves, we're really thinking about you. We want you to maximize your budget to get the best results possible. So have the time, if you just put your money where the lowest hanging fruit is, you're going to be most successful. I've seen this countless of times. Customers come to us and they say, we have $10,000 a month advertising budget. What do you recommend? Should we go Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, this and that? I said, no. Let's prioritize. Let's start A, B, C, D. Let's first figure out which platform has the majority of your target customers. For example, if you have a demonstrable product and it's an impulse decision purchase, something like an innovative nail clipper that really helps you trim your fingernails, well, you know what? Instagram is going to be perfect for that. People going on Instagram, they like beauty, they like aesthetics, and it's really easy to deliver a highly targeted ad on Instagram for very little money, for like a 30-second quick infomercial that might get somebody just excited excited enough to place an order. But if you're selling something like a kitchen, for example, or remodeling a kitchen, Instagram might not be the best place because most people are not there to remodel their kitchen. They might be there for entertainment. And it's not an impulse decision. It takes a lot of processing power. You have to do your research. Most likely, they'll go on a platform like Yelp. They'll do their due diligence to see which contractor to hire. They're already highly motivated to make a decision there. So if you put the money on Yelp, for example, for that type of service, you're much more likely to succeed. So at the end of the day, be clever, create a strategy, go one by one by one. Ultimately, you definitely don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, but at the same time, you don't want to spread too thin where you're just going to burn through a lot of money and not get any results. Optimize one channel at a time. As one channel becomes at its optimum state, reinvest the money and proceeds from that channel into a new channel, and do this until you basically capture all the possible channels for generating leads at the lowest cost possible. But here's the thing, even if you have the most engaging ad possible, but you have a crappy brand or product, it's not going to help. So let's talk about that for a second. Creating a brand is like picking out your superhero costume. You need something that makes you stand out, but also represents who you really are. So let's talk about Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign in more detail. What did they do that increased sales by over $12 billion? It was a very clever move. All they did was allow you to print a name on the Coke bottle. And for example, in Australia, they picked the 150 most popular names and printed them on the bottle. So this way, people were much more excited to take a bottle that had their name on it. Or they would install one of the kiosks where you actually could order a can with your name on it. So what would that accomplish? That would basically encourage a user such as Millennial to take the Coke can with their name on it and take a picture and post it on social media. That basically gave them access to free social media awareness to all the friends in the network of the person that's taking the photo. Genius move. Difficult to execute, but a simple idea like that can truly transform a business. You can also come up with a clever idea that will excite your customers to take a picture of your product, take a selfie, and upload it on the internet. Think of what you can do. Think of the potential. Sometimes it's the small things that make the biggest difference. At 3D Media, we've helped brands develop their unique voice and visual identity, making sure they're not just a face in the crowd, they're somebody that will be recognized. And lastly, let's talk about your digital identity online. That is your website, your storefront where you attract all the customers and tell them who you are. You want to make sure it represents you really well. You want to make sure it's exciting, it's interesting, it's visually appealing, and it's very fast to load. The load times are critically important, going back to that SEO example. Search engines will prioritize websites that load quickly, and that one thing a lot of people miss out on. Additionally, you want to make sure that the website is laid out in such a way where it doesn't waste any real estate. A lot of people make the mistakes by making huge headers, which waste a lot of space. You want to avoid that. You have to be very strategic about where you put the content and how you condense it in such a way that delivers the message without using too much space. The more you require a user to scroll down or access another page, the less likely they'll engage with your website. People are lazy. They just want to go in there and get the message right away. So the quicker you can deliver it to them, the better. One of the ways we usually wow a customer when they visit a website is by putting a dynamic video right as the website loads. Where typically people put a picture into a slider, we insert a nice video. For example, a business that does construction will show them hitting the hammer on the building and using power saws, cementing, doing all the rebars, all the awesome things they do in the business that look exciting. They see it visually right the moment they landed on the website. Additionally, you always want to have a call out sign to contact you or some kind of a call to action. A lot of people miss that. They get people on their website and then there's no call to action button anywhere in sight. That is a big fail. Everywhere on the website, it should be static, somewhere where it's easily accessible. For example, in the top right corner of the screen, bottom left, anywhere where they can interact with you at any given point. Some people will be convinced right away. Some people will need a little bit more time, but you want to have that button accessible to them at any given time while they're on the website. Here's another important trick. When you're making a website, make sure it has all the right colors. Don't oversaturate with colors. Be consistent with your brand. I typically recommend maybe 3 colors at most to have very beautiful yet clean look, and that goes consistently with your brand. You don't want want to be scattered all over the place. Think of Coca-Cola or any brand out there. They typically use the same colors throughout their digital marketing campaigns, whether it's on the website, in the ad, on social media, wherever you are. It's always going to be the same colors that will evoke the memory of their brand or their brand identity. A lot of people try to use pre-made templates like Wix and Squarespace. Yeah, that's a great way if you're just starting out and you don't have any money, but think about it long term. A website will really represent who you are on the internet. So make sure you hire a good website development company such as ourselves that have the expertise to really make the best use case of that platform. Also, somebody that creates the actual media content that's being used in the website. Most modern websites are driven by media content, photography, videography, virtual tours. All these things make the website more appealing because people are more visual. People read less text than they used to, and they look at more things. A picture really tells 1,000 words. That's why here at 3D Media, we do everything in-house. We take the pictures, make the videos, do the virtual tours, and build the websites, and do the advertising, so it's all comprehensive and it all works perfectly together. Unlike a lot of other companies out there that will subcontract this, subcontract that, and it all looks like a mismatch of information and tools. Or it will cost you an arm and a leg because they have to pay contractors to do this and that, and it's very expensive and unaffordable. And lastly, when it comes to a good website, make sure it's completely optimized for mobile and desktop. In fact, I'm going to make the argument that the mobile experience is probably more important nowadays than ever. Most people will find you on their phone, so you make sure that the way you look on the phone is perfect. It loads up beautifully and you can scroll through all the pages. Everything is dynamically resizes to each type of phone and resolution, and that is critically important. It's also going to help you with your search engine optimization because Google crawlers actually give you a score based on how user-friendly your website is. And now let's talk about one of the last and most important things about having good digital presence online and having a good digital marketing campaign, and that is your social media. Social media is where your customers hang out, and that's where the community is created. On average, people spend 2 hours and 24 minutes daily on social media, but somehow never have the time to call you back. It's essential to create content that resonates, whether it's memes, videos, industry insights, whatever it may be. At 3D Media, we figured out that the key to success on social media is grabbing the attention of the user within the first 3 seconds. So, for example, if you create a video that ramps up in energy as it goes along, most people will not even get to that point. You gotta hit them really hard right from the get-go. Show something super exciting right away. For example, when we're shooting real estate, it starts off with a drone. So you see the whole area, the mountains, the lakes, the ocean, and then we draw the drone closer to the house and start showing the house. That might be less interesting than the drone footage. To conclude, every business simply must be able to attract customers, and now you have tools and the know-how on how to create the best digital marketing campaign. There is a lot more information available. Check out some of my other videos, or just simply give us a call and we'll guide you through the entire process and handle everything for you. Please subscribe, watch for more tips and tricks on our next videos, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.